The soft jazz filtered through the dimly lit room like a whisper, a gentle melody weaving its way through the space and filling it with an invisible, yet palpable presence. The music, smooth and fluid, seemed to hang in the air, mingling with the soft glow of candlelight that flickered against the walls. Shadows stretched and contracted, casting long, sinuous figures that danced and swayed, almost as if they were in conversation with the music itself, exchanging secrets in a language only they understood. I stood at the threshold, caught in the delicate balance between the cool embrace of the night air outside and the welcoming warmth of the living room within. My mind was a whirlwind of questions, each one vying for attention, yet none finding a voice. It was as if time had slowed, leaving me suspended in the moment, unable to move forward or retreat. The world outside seemed distant, a forgotten reality that had little bearing on the scene before me. She turned to me then, barefoot and graceful, her movements fluid and unhurried. Her hair was swept up in a loose knot, a few tendrils escaping to frame her face, revealing the elegant curve of her neck. It was a gesture of effortless beauty, one that seemed to encapsulate her very essence. Her eyes, a deep shade of hazel, locked onto mine with an intensity that rendered me speechless. There was something in her gaze, a depth that hinted at stories untold, emotions unspoken. "I knew you would," she said, her voice a soft murmur that carried a hint of a smile at the corners of her lips. Her words were a gentle acknowledgement of an unspoken bond between us, one that neither of us had dared to articulate until now. She poured wine into 2 glasses, the rich, ruby liquid catching the light as it splashed softly against the glass. Yet, only one chair was set at the table, a subtle invitation to share the space, to be present in this moment. "You didn't even ask what I needed," she continued, her tone light yet carrying an undercurrent of something deeper. Her words hung in the air, heavy with implication, a challenge wrapped in a question. As I stepped inside, closing the door softly behind me, the world outside seemed to fade away, leaving just the 2 of us in this encapsulated moment, a universe unto itself. "My name is Jack Thompson, and I'm 33 years old. By day, I work as a graphic designer, a profession that keeps me tethered to the glowing screen of my computer, lost in a world of colors and lines. It's a job that demands precision, creativity, and an eye for detail, yet also leaves me with a lingering sense of detachment, as if I'm merely an observer of life rather than a participant. My current emotional state? Conflicted, to say the least. The message she sent had been simple, yet it had stirred something within me that I couldn't quite place. Perhaps it was curiosity, a desire to understand what lay beneath the surface of our polite exchanges. Perhaps it was something deeper, a forbidden allure that had me crossing the street to her house without hesitation, drawn by an invisible thread. Her name is Lila Hart, my neighbor, and, until recently, just that. She's 29, with an air of mystery that surrounds her like a cloak, a quiet allure that draws people in, yet keeps them at a distance. There's a calmness in her demeanor, a quiet confidence that suggests she knows more than she lets on. Yet she remains an enigma, a puzzle with missing pieces. Our interactions had been friendly but superficial, the kind of exchanges that form the fabric of daily life yet leave little impression. But tonight felt different, charged with an unspoken tension that neither of us acknowledged, yet both felt acutely. I took a seat, the chair creaking softly beneath me as I settled into its embrace. Lila handed me a glass of wine, the cool stem a reassuring weight in my hand. She sat on the floor, leaning against the couch, her posture relaxed and unguarded, as if this was the most natural thing in the world. Her presence was a soothing balm, a reminder that in this moment, nothing else mattered. "Why did you come?" she asked, her voice low, almost drowned out by the jazz that filled the room like a gentle tide. "I don't know," I replied honestly, swirling the wine in my glass, watching as it caught the light. "Your message seemed important." Is that all it takes? She teased, her eyes never leaving mine, a playful challenge in their depths. Her question was rhetorical, yet it struck a chord, a reminder of the unspoken understanding that lay between us. I shrugged, unsure of how to respond, the silence stretching between us, filled with the soft notes of a saxophone and the rustle of leaves from the balcony door left ajar. The music was a companion, a witness to the unfolding drama, its presence a reminder of the world beyond these walls. "Do you like the music?" she asked, shifting the conversation, her tone light and unassuming. "Yes, it's nice." I hesitated, then added, "It suits the evening." My words felt inadequate, a pale reflection of the emotions that coursed beneath the surface. She smiled, a small, secretive smile that hinted at shared knowledge, an understanding that transcended words. "I thought you might appreciate it." Our conversation stayed on safe topics, yet every word felt loaded, every glance a test of boundaries. Lila was a master of the unspoken, navigating the silence with a kind of grace that left me both intrigued and unsettled. It was a dance, a delicate balance of give and take, an exploration of the uncharted territory between us. As the night wore on, the distance between us seemed to shrink, an invisible thread pulling us closer. She moved to sit on the couch, her bare feet tucked beneath her, and I found myself turning my chair slightly, unconsciously leaning towards her, drawn by an invisible force. "Do you ever feel like you're living someone else's life?" she asked suddenly, her voice barely above a whisper, a question that seemed to hang in the air, demanding an answer. I blinked, taken aback by the abrupt shift, the raw honesty of her question. "Sometimes," I admitted, the truth of it catching me off guard. "Why?" "Just wondering," she replied, her gaze distant, lost in thought. "I guess I've been feeling that way a lot lately." Her words were a confession, a glimpse into the depths of her soul, the struggles that lay beneath the surface. I wanted to ask more, to delve into the layers of her statement, to understand the root of her discontent, but something held me back. Maybe it was the fear of crossing an invisible line, of opening a door that once opened, couldn't be closed. Or perhaps it was the silent acknowledgement that some questions were better left unanswered, their answers too complex, too painful to confront. Instead, I said, "You seem to have it all together." It was a weak attempt at reassurance, a hollow platitude that did little to mask the uncertainty I felt. She laughed, a soft, melodic sound that filled the room with warmth. "Appearances can be deceiving, Jack." Her words were a reminder that the surface is often just that, a surface, a veneer that hides the complexities beneath. There it was again, the unspoken tension, the sense that we were skirting around something much larger than either of us were willing to acknowledge. It hung between us, a silent agreement to leave the deeper truths unspoken, to maintain the fragile balance we had created. "Why did you really ask me here, Lila?" I asked, the question a gentle nudge, an invitation to share the truth that lay beneath the surface. She paused, as if weighing her words carefully, her gaze steady and unflinching. "Sometimes, it's nice to have someone around who doesn't expect anything from you." Her words were a revelation, a glimpse into the vulnerability that lay beneath her calm exterior, the desire for connection without the weight of expectation. We sat in silence after that, the weight of her words settling over us like a blanket, a shared understanding that required no further elaboration. The night deepened, the music slowed, and I found myself drawn to her in ways I hadn't anticipated. The pull of something larger than myself, an inexplicable connection that defied explanation. Then came the moment that changed everything. A light flickered on in the house opposite, and I caught a glimpse of movement through the window. My heart skipped a beat. It was my wife, Emily, moving about in our living room, oblivious to the drama unfolding just across the street. The sight was a jarring reminder of the life I had, the commitments and responsibilities that lay just out of reach. I turned back to Lila, panic rising in my chest, a sudden rush of reality intruding upon the fragile world we had created. "I should go," I said, my voice tight, the words a reluctant acknowledgement of the boundaries I could not ignore. She nodded, understanding flickering in her eyes, a silent acknowledgement of the complexities that lay between us. "Of course." But as I stood to leave, she reached out, her fingers brushing against mine. The touch was electric, a spark that sent a shiver down my spine, a reminder of the connection that lay between us, the possibilities that lingered just out of reach. "Thank you for coming," she said, her voice a soft caress, a gentle goodbye. I nodded, unable to form words, and turned to go, my mind a tangle of confusion and regret. As I crossed back to my own home, the night air cool against my skin, I couldn't shake the feeling that something fundamental had shifted between us, a change that could not be undone. Over the following days, I found myself replaying the evening in my mind, dissecting each moment, each glance, each word. Lila and I continued to pass each other in the neighborhood, our interactions charged with a new, unspoken understanding, a silent acknowledgement of the connection that lay beneath the surface. One afternoon, I found her in her garden, tending to a patch of flowers, her hands gentle and skilled as she coaxed life from the earth. She looked up as I approached, her expression unreadable, a mask that hid the emotions beneath. "Hi," I said, my voice awkward, unsure, the words a poor reflection of the complexity of our shared history. "Hi," she replied, standing and wiping her hands on her jeans, her gaze steady and unflinching. We stood there, the sun warm on our faces, tension simmering beneath the surface, a silent understanding passing between us. "About the other night," I started, but she cut me off, her tone gentle yet firm. "It's okay, Jack. We don't have to talk about it." Her words were a reassurance, a promise to leave the past in the past, to move forward without the weight of regret. I nodded, relieved and disappointed at the same time, grateful for her understanding yet longing for more. "Are you okay?" I asked, changing the subject, the question a gentle probe, a reminder of the connection that lay between us. She smiled, a genuine smile that reached her eyes, a rare glimpse of the warmth beneath her calm exterior. "I am. Thanks." We stood in silence, the moment stretching out between us, a fragile thread connecting us in ways I couldn't quite understand. It was a moment of peace, a reminder that some connections transcended words, their power lying in the unspoken understanding they represented. As I walked away, I felt a sense of possibility, a new reality that hovered on the edge of my consciousness, a future that lay just out of reach. Lila and I had crossed a line, but instead of chaos, there was a strange peace in the aftermath, an unspoken agreement to leave things as they were, to cherish the connection without the need for definition. In the weeks that followed, life returned to its usual rhythm. Emily and I settled into our routines, the rhythm of daily life a comforting balm, a reminder of the stability that lay in the familiar. The incident with Lila faded into the background, a quiet memory that lingered at the edges of my mind, a reminder of the possibilities that lay just out of reach. But sometimes, when the night was quiet and the world felt impossibly still, I would think of Lila, of the way her eyes had met mine across the candlelit room, and wonder what might have been. It was a thought that lingered, a quiet echo of the connection we had shared, a reminder of the paths not taken. And in those moments, I understood that some connections were meant to remain unfulfilled, their power lying not in their realization, but in the possibility they represented. They were a reminder of the complexity of life, of the choices that define us, and the paths that remain unexplored. Lila and I would never speak of that night again, but its presence lingered, a subtle shift in the fabric of our lives, a reminder of the paths not taken. And perhaps in that, there was a kind of hope, a promise of understanding that transcended the boundaries we had drawn. It was a reminder that some connections, though fleeting, hold a power that lingers, a quiet testament to the complexity of life and the beauty of the unspoken.